You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Syracuse football needs to run the football more. I love watching Kyle McCord sling it. I think we all love Kyle McCord slinging it. It's fun to watch. Isn't it fun watching a passing offense? It's more fun than watching a rushing offense. But here's the deal. Sometimes you got to be a little bit boring. And their play calling at times, it needs to be more boring, aka run the football more. Because running the ball against Holy Cross, as I said on yesterday's podcast, it actually worked. I thought the line was opening up gaping holes in the run game. And again, sure, there were times where our running backs would get stuffed in the backfield. Even against a team like Holy Cross, it's going to happen. I guarantee you, if you watch a team like Georgia, I know that was a thrilling game last night, side note, but I guarantee you, if you watch a team like Georgia play against a far inferior opponent, out of conference, FCS, whatever it is, I guarantee you they will have one carry that goes for -1 yard, or they'll have a carry that only goes for 2 yards. All right. Even the best teams against the worst teams, not every run play is going to work. But against Holy Cross, the big three running backs on Syracuse football, the three on the top of the depth chart, that's LeQuint Allen, Will Nixon, and Yasin Willis. They accounted for 26 carries in the game for 137 yards. That is 5.27 yards per carry. So they were running at an efficient rate, but this team just was not running the ball enough. Kyle McCord threw the ball 50 times. He threw the ball 50 times, and they were winning for most of the game. Actually, they were winning for all of the game pretty much. Aside from the first minute or two before Syracuse scored the first touchdown, the Orange were winning. So the game script actually favored them running the football. And they still weren't really doing it that much. First 2 plays of the game were run plays to LeQuint Allen. I thought that was going to set the tone for the rest of the game. Not really. Not really. They once again just abandoned the run very, very early. 70% design pass plays in the first half. And they were winning for the majority of it. I said it on yesterday's podcast. Maybe the coaching staff has Kyle McCord on their fantasy team. Look, I get it. If you have Kyle McCord on your fantasy team, you do want him throwing for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns. I get it. I understand. Now, I have Patrick Mahomes on my dynasty team. I don't want to see the Chiefs run the football. All right? But we got to run the football more, because when you run the football more, it opens up the pass. The passing offense is already good. It's already really good. You want to make it even better? Run the ball. Because when you run the football, it opens up play action. When you run the football, it forces the linebackers to play more up in the box. It forces the safeties to come in. That allows your receivers to stretch the field more, because they can, and they can get open too. The passing offense, it completely opens up if you can run the football. We saw against Stanford when they lost that game. What happens when you don't run the football? Were they that efficient? No, they weren't that efficient against Stanford, but did they try enough? Did they give it an honest effort against Stanford? In my opinion, they did not. They didn't. They didn't give the LeQuint Allen got 8 carries in the game. That's not enough. I know he got 16 against Holy Cross, but again, you threw the ball 50 times with Kyle McCord in a game you were winning the entire time. Run the football more. What if I told you that LeQuint Allen this season is averaging 5.3 yards per carry? Again, they're pretty efficient. He's averaging 5.3 yards per carry, which is a full yard higher than last season. We can bang on the offensive line all we want. You want to help out the offensive line in pass protection? Have the threat of running the football a little bit more often. I looked at the splits before doing this podcast of the total plays that Syracuse has run this season through 4 games. And they have run 60% of the, I got to refresh. All right. Sorry. Apologize. Got to figure out how to phrase this. Syracuse has thrown the ball 60% of the time. It's not bad, but at the same time, that's not 60% design pass plays. If you look at design pass plays, it is much higher than 60%, at least for my eye test. Because remember, if a quarterback gets sacked, that counts as a run. If a quarterback scrambles, that counts as a run. So if you eliminate the fact that he was sacked or that Kyle McCord scrambled and you say, well, that was a design pass play, Syracuse is throwing the ball probably 65 to 70% of the time, or at least calling a pass play 65 to 70% of the time. That's not a good enough ratio. Got to run the football more because LeQuint Allen is pretty efficient. Will Nixon, 4 yards per carry, but he's more of a receiving back. Yasin Willis is averaging 3.9 yards per carry, but he's a power back and also a true freshman. So it's going to take time for him. He's a short yardage guy anyway. So you want him in the game when it's 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1. Because you want him to get those big boy yards. That's the point of Yasin Willis. And overall, I said on last segment that Syracuse's passing offense is top 3 in the country statistically. It's a fact. Pass yards per game. But they have a bottom 25 rushing offense in the country. I would like to see that evened out a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I love watching Kyle McCord sling the ball over down the field. But sometimes we got to accept 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Because the more often we can do that, the more often we're going to be more efficient with our passing plays. So that's my rant, my more thorough rant of Syracuse running the football more. They just have to, they have to commit to it.